Welcome to this look at / review of a new mod map on Farming Simulator 19 with me, MrSealyp. This is ISCHIA FARM. This is a new mod map by BlackEyesModding. We'll get the facts and figures out of the way first, as I normally do. I'm playing on New Farmer for the map tour. This will use 238.37 megabytes to download. We'll go straight onto the map screen. This is the island, north being this way, heavily forested at the top end of the map. Southern part, we've got the Tyrrhenian Sea. That's right, isn't it? Tyrrhenian Sea. To the south of the map, this is by no means a faithful recreation of Ischia Island, which is an island in the Gulf of Naples, the north end of the Gulf of Naples. It's a volcanic island. We'll a little bit more about the facts and figures as we drive around, but it does say on the Farming Simulator website that this is not a faithful recreation. There are elements of the island on there, a few little things that have been thrown in, but it's not obviously, if you've been there, you're probably going to go around and go, hang on a minute. I haven't personally, but you never know. So, where do we start on New Farmer? Well, we start down here at our main farm, which is where I'm standing, kind of facing, well, northwest, I suppose, at the moment. Farmhouse and silo just here. Now, this does have a list of required mods. If you're going to play on this, you don't have to have them, but it would make more sense. There's the self-marketing mod by Farmer 5 Tom. There's the grain silo system by Camelos 0397. There's the Browd 9000L by BlackEyesModding, and the DRL 140N by BlackEyesModding. Those four mods are ones that you probably are going to need if you're going to play on this map. This is another one of those maps that it's kind of the potential of what you can have that is more exciting. I know that sounds a bit off. You'll see what I mean as I go around. There are pros and cons to this map, and I'm going to be honest. I'm doing a review of it. I'm going around, I'm looking at it. As far as prices of fields and plots and things go, field prices are okay price-wise. Fairly expensive, but there's some fairly large fields. The smaller fields down the bottom, when you look and you think, oh, that's all right, I'll get some small ones to start off with, they do actually come in lumps. They're still not too expensive, but you kind of get clumps of fields together. But they are nice, wide and open, as you'll see as we go around, so there is the ability to plough across and that kind of thing. Now, this adds in alfalfa as an extra crop, and it also adds in red grapes and white grapes. This here is a vineyard. This here is a vineyard. That one there is white grapes. This one here is red grapes, which we're going to have a look at in a bit as well. Biogas plant you do have to purchase, and it's about 125 grand, 124,614, so near enough 125 grand for the biogas plant, so not too expensive. And as you can see there's also one that says compost. Now, that's not the ability to make compost, but there is a buy point for compost. You can sell compost, but you can also use compost as a fertilizer, I think, as far as I'm aware. So that's the facts and figures out the way. Let's have a look at where we start and what we start with. Now, the map itself runs from the south, where the coast is. We've got a big open floodplain that kind of runs round, and a lot of it is nice big open flat fields. Then we've got to rise up as it's heading in towards the mountains. Being a volcanic island, I believe the volcano on the island is extinct now, but leading into the mountainous region of the island. So it kind of gets more hilly the further north you go on the map, and the further north you go, you then move into the forested area, which can then be cleared, and you can add more fields in if you want to do so. This is the silo by Camelos 0397. So it's that thing of, it says required mods, and it really does mean required, because if you don't install that mod, you won't get the silo in place. There are a couple of mods that the map maker has made, this being one of them. This shed is in the mods section that's been made by the map maker. There are a couple in there. What else? I need to make sure again. Contracts are available, absolutely. And your reset point, should you make a mistake, tip something over, get it stuck or whatever, it resets back to the store, which we'll get to later on. As far as slots go, if you're on console, you're playing on console, straight off the bat on New Farmer we have used 601 out of 1299 slots, which isn't too bad. It gives you a few to play with. If you come on Farm Manager or start from scratch, that drops down to 491, but you start with nothing. So for example, this area here is completely bare. No shed, no machinery, no silo, nothing at all. You don't start with anything in that section. As far as machinery and stuff goes, we've got a few bits of machinery under there, plough and stuff around the back. We'll have a look at actually the list of that in a bit more detail in a minute. The sheds. Oh, this shed opens either side with the bit in the middle for storing as well. Nice big open shed. I'm going to say this right off the bat because again, it's kind of obvious. Some of the textures, and again, I don't like to say it, but it can be the conversion over from PC to console. Sometimes that happens. That coding is there on paper. It says yes, it should work, and then because the PC guys can't test the console version, they can do the coding for it, but then when it comes out, they'll often go on and think, oh, that's not quite right, that needs to be tweaked, and that's when sometimes you get an update for a map. So potentially it could be that, but there are some textures and a few bits and bobs that are a little bit, what's the word, blurry I suppose is the best way of putting it. Maybe not as sharp as they could be. And as you'll see as we go around, the use of flowers and colour, it's a personal preference. I personally think it's slightly overused, but again, we'll see as we go round. I don't want to knock the map maker modder because it's a nice map. You know, at the end of the day, it's something different as well. The sort of design, the landscaping of it is something a bit different, and I like that. And I like the addition of the vineyards and grapes as well. So a bit of machinery just here, and the farmhouse just up the back there. We are going to grab a tractor to go round. So, as far as that goes then, our garage, we start with a Fendt Fabric 515, the Fiat 1300, a TX32 harvester, Agroliner trailer, header for the TX32, a plough, a power harrow, a seeder, front loader, trailer header, grain silo, shed and farmhouse. And that's it. That's all you start with. Like I say, that is one of the required mods. That is one that's been added in. If we go across to what's available, if we look here, you'll see that one of the other mods that I talked about is the grain silo system. Now this has been cleverly used on this map to add in extra sell points without having to make them. Does that make sense? Because they've used this mod as a required mod, these are placed around the map as kind of extra sell points for various different commodities. So that map pack is a required mod installed. Decoration, we've got this metal barrier, 8 metre. I've been trying to find that. I think it might have been the entrance to a few of the things, but it seems to be kind of partially up all the time. So that's there. Farmhouse is standard. The shed, the one I said about there, is 1,500. For that size shed we've just looked at, isn't too bad at all. And then the silo, we've got the one by Camelos, which I just showed you there, the large grain silo. So that's part of that pack, the grain silo system by Camelos. Animal pens, I don't think we've got anything modded. No, there are no animal pens on the map so far. So if you do want to do animals, you can place them. My advice would be place them down in the low-lying flat area because it's going to be much easier for placement and will require far less landscaping should you need to do so. So, all that out of the way, let's have a look around the map, shall we? I'm going to go... there's not really a particular... I'm pushing something on. I suddenly thought, hang on a minute, that doesn't seem to be driving very well. A kind of, well, I don't know, a spiral. It's a spiral route round. It's the only way I can describe it. We're going to head west first to a few of the sell points that way. You can kind of get an idea for the map and the sort of the lie of the land, the undulations and the topography. Like I say, it's different. I like this kind of stepped thing as well, where it kind of drops down onto that floodplain in from the coast. It's a nice feature. Like I say, there are some nice features of the map. There are a couple of bits here and there that as I went around I thought, well, I'm not, not 100% on that, but that's just my own personal preference. So the farmhouse is up there. You sleep through the night trigger. You can sell that house, and there are loads of farmhouse mods and various different things. If you want to, you can swap it out or do whatever you want. So, heading this way. Now that weird sort of black and white bit that looks a bit odd on the horizon, that's fencing. And when I first drove along I thought, hang on a minute, that's a bit weird. The roads are fairly narrow, but it's a small island. In the real world, this island has 60,000 inhabitants, and it's a really small island. I think when I looked online, it works out 1,200 and something per square kilometre. It's quite heavily populated for a small island. There are a few interesting features that the map maker has thrown in. What else? Oh yeah, the wine, because we've got the vineyards, red and white grapes production. The vineyards on the island, the wine making on the island, 80% of the wine or grapes grown on the island go to make white wine rather than red wine, which is interesting when we go around, because I mean it's a minor thing, but the red grape vineyard is much bigger than the white one on the map, but that's a trifling thing. All the little beach parasols down there on the beach. Petrol station, fuel station, gas station, however you want to refer to it, on the right there. And here is the white grape vineyard. Now, as far as the vineyards go, you can't plant them. It was something I said when I did the mod review the other day, yesterday, that I think the next step forward, personally, again this is my own personal preference, is that they've given us the grape harvester. They've given us a grape trailer. We can see that you can have the grape bushes on a map, because they're here on a map. The one thing that needs to join them together, personally, is a grape planting machine, some way that we can actually plant them. So you could take those mods and that grape planting machine and then do these vineyards anywhere, because as we can see, this I'm playing on PlayStation 4, they're in the ground, we've got the strips, we've got them. Now as you walk past them, they kind of bend, and very nice. Now a normal vineyard, a lot of vineyards have kind of like wire stringers that go between the two, and the vineyards kind of hang on those. So you've got to take this as it is. Yes, it's a bit two-dimensional in places, but it's kind of the concept. Like I said, this is the concept that is more important than the actual. I think it's brilliant. I think it's fantastic. I'm just trying to kind of cover all bases. Now you can cultivate or plough across these and take them out if you want to, but if you do, that's it. You've got no way of putting them back in again on the map, like I said, because there's no planter or seeder for doing it, or at least there's not one that I've come across anywhere. When you harvest these grapes, the actual grape bunches come off of the bottom of here. Now if you drive across these, crop destruction is on. Whilst the actual bushes stay where they are, the grapes disappear. So if I drove a straight line across there, all of those bushes would lose their grapes, but the bushes would stay there. And these do regrow. You can fertilise them, and it sometimes says requires lime. Where it says requires ploughing, do not plough them. They won't grow back. Or at least not that I found. I did a little bit of testing last night, and I couldn't get them to grow back. So these will regrow in so much as once you've harvested the grapes, over the next period of time, the grapes will grow back again automatically. I assume that is a rolling continuous thing. I went through a couple of cycles. I can't see why that would suddenly stop, because again, like I said, there's no way of putting them back in again. But that's the grape thing. The grape thing. If you want to see the actual harvester in operation, on my mod review yesterday, at the end of the mod review, I showed the browed harvester being used on these. But I think it's a nice addition. It's a cool thing to have. So down here we're at the greengrocer sell point, which is just here. Big buildings, wide expanses. One potential negative, I suppose, is that there's kind of no fancy, no extra detail around these. Some of them there are, some of them there aren't. They're big open areas. That is a plus if you're using big machinery, if you're using big lorries, maybe bringing a road train in and you need plenty of turning space. Or you might want to put placeables down. I haven't tried placeables. Sometimes on maps they're not particularly placeable friendly. That comes down to each individual map seems to have its own idiosyncrasies with regard to what it will allow and what it won't. So as far as the self-marketing system, this crate here is one such of those, and I think I'm trying to remember how we do this now. Let me just do that. Unwrap. There we go. So there's a few of these dotted around the map. There's a couple of the huts and there's a couple of these. And like I say, that's kind of thrown in as an easier way of having extra sell points. If we have a look on the map, we're over here now. So we've got the greengrocer we just looked at, and this, the Verkaufsautomat, is one such one, and there's some others knocking around the map too. So it's yeah, don't know, it's on the map, and if you don't have that installed, that mod installed, then obviously they won't be here, which is another reason why it's a required mod. When I downloaded the map, sometimes required mods download automatically to make sure you've got them, but it didn't. I had to download them separately, so again, just something to bear in mind. Right, continuing on. Sign here. Did I just go past the sign? Where was it? Might be on the end here. From what I can gather by looking online, done a little bit of research, that sign there says ISCHIA, which is vineyard vinery. Bianco, DOC, Bianco being white, so it's white grapes. DOC stands for Denominazione di Origine Controllata, which as far as I can tell is like the Italian wine standards. Within a region it's a wine standards thing, like you get a stamp on the bottle or like a thing of approval. It's like, I'm not sure if it's government run, but it's just to make sure that they are of a certain standard, so that's what the DOC stands for on there. It's just a kind of, you know, testing standards, making sure everything is the best quality it can possibly be. So, heading up, we have some more sale points. We have got, I want to get this right, it's a little bit tricky because it's not really kind of, there's nothing on here that makes you go, oh okay then. That's a barn sale point, that one just there. This one over here is the spinnery sale point. Like I say, just a crate or a box with some cotton maybe or some wool might have just been a better indication, just so you know. I mean, you can look on the map and you can put on a marker and it will tell you, but if you look on the map it kind of splits them, but just a visual clue would have been a little bit easier maybe. And then we've got a livestock market just down here for buying, selling, loading or unloading of your livestock if you want to do it manually rather than do it directly from whatever oh, mine's gone, animal pen, whatever animal pen you want to use. So we're going to go along the front now, kind of following the esplanade. Well, it's not really an esplanade, there's just the beachfront, I guess, is the best way of putting it. Like I say, no fences or hedges between the fields, so if you've bought a plot of a few fields together, the ability to plough them out and have bigger fields is there if you want to go down that route. So we are heading east now across the southern part of the map. You can't go any further south, obviously. Not unless we're going to be harvesting oysters or something like that. Oh, there you go. There's another one there. So, over this eastern side is where the town is. Got a little side turn that runs up the back there. The other thing to point out, I think, at this point is it's very angular. Some of the roads and stuff, we've got nice bends here, but there's a couple of bits that kind of seem very, you know, almost blocky in a way. Again, it's an obvious thing. It's right there. It's right in front of your eyes. Some of the houses are spot on. Some of them are a bit off. And again, it's I suppose a scaling thing, or I'm not too sure. Could be a port over to bring it to console. But things like this. You've got this house here, no problem at all, everything seems absolutely hunky-dory. Then we've got this one here, that just seems, I don't know whether that should be further down into the ground, because that's kind of the foundations, because obviously you'd need steps to get up into there. It's a small thing, but again, it's worth pointing out. The one next door is absolutely fine, but these ones, this particular style, seem to be sat too high. There's a few little bits and bobs like that here and there. It's not major. It's not going to stop you playing on the map at all. But as I said before, you know, this is a map tour, map review. I'm looking at, you know, what we get as a map. You know, it may not be to everyone's taste. It may not be their cup of tea at all, this style of map. But going round, you will get a kind of, whoops, I guess, looking off to the left. You kind of get a feel for it. Massive car park there for the port. The port has a very Felsbrunny feel to it. It's huge, and it's a small thing again. Sorry, but you've got to drive a long way around here to get to it. It's no big deal, it's driving, it's not, you know, you haven't got to walk and carry the stuff yourself, but the actual sell point for the port is right the way through here. It does feel like Felsborough. I don't know if it is it one of the port sell points taken off? I don't know, maybe. So the sell point here for the port, so we are pretty much now in the southeast corner of the map. And the port goes on round there. There's no other sell points. There's no line point down here either. It's a good point actually. Where can we get lime on the map? I haven't come across anything yet. Maybe you have to use placeables for lime. A lot of people do ask me when I do the map tours now as well, where are the seed refill points? That was more relevant on FS15 because obviously on console we didn't have mods, so you needed them. On FS17 a lot of map makers would still have them on there because it was just something they did, and there weren't that many mods out. But I think nowadays there are so many water points, seed and fertilizer refill points, various different buy anything silos available in the Modhub, and the whole concept with FS19 now being as well with landscaping, you can build your farm however you want. A lot of map makers aren't putting seed refill points and things in. You can get them directly from the store, or you can put placeables down. I think that's become a kind of common thing. Some map makers do put them on, but not all of them. So, you know, it just comes down to the map maker and the map itself. So what we're going to do is head in a little bit, just go through the town, have a look at the town, and head round to the next of the sell points. There are a few people wandering about the map here and there. Traffic isn't too heavy. It's not like there's so much traffic it becomes a nuisance. When you do come across it, it is quite slow. Something else worth pointing out. So this big building on the right hand side is the sugar factory. This will take sugar beet and sugar cane. It's a massive building for just those two things. Oh, this could be where the this could be the barriers. Now, again, slightly off, only by a little bit, but this post is over here in this bit a little bit, and this one is in here rather at the edge. So I'm assuming again it's just a tiny kind of port over thing. Kind of, it's a minor thing, but it is there. Actually, I'm coming in the exit, so small things. Now, do these barriers? Oh, is that up all the time then? Oh, hang on. Oh, maybe the functionality's been taken out of them. I know as a mod they worked, you could wind them up and down. So whilst it says mod, I think the actual functionality of the barrier going up and down, I think when I reviewed these, this was a pack, was one thing I did mention was the fact they didn't go up all the way. So if you're bringing larger vehicles, high-sided trailers and stuff, you want to make sure you're right over this side rather than this side, otherwise you're going to crunch into that. So yeah, just something again worth pointing out. Sorry for coming the wrong way. Right, if we go all the way around the back, doesn't actually really matter which way around we go, but we'll go around the back. Huge facility. Fences have collisions, so you can't kind of just nip through the back or anything like that. So sell point just here. This is for your sugar beet and sugar cane. As far as I can tell, when you unload it, there's no production movement. It's not like belts start moving or anything like that. It's just the sell point. And then under here, where it says compost on the wall, ISCHIA sugar. It says compost, and just above there we've got some chutes. If you bring a trailer underneath here, you can buy compost, which is actually fairly cheap to buy. Down at the port, where we were a little while ago, that's one of the sell points for compost. And you can actually make a tidy bit of money just buying and selling compost. You can become the compost king of ISCHIA if you want. Again, that's entirely your choice. So, heading back east again. On the right hand side in a second we've got the next petrol station, so we've got a couple on the map. It's not a massive map, it's not far to go, but we've got another petrol station just here, fuel station, should you require it. And then we're now coming up on the store. So this is the reset point. Like I say, if you have any issues, problems, reset. One of the things I do like about this reset point or the store is it's got a massive open area, plenty of room for getting vehicles in and out. Some maps you get a really small store with a really small kind of car park, and then for bigger machinery and stuff it becomes almost impossible for moving it around. So everything you buy or resets comes around here, around the back. One slight negative to it, I think inside the building is a bit bland. There's just nothing in here really. It's just the building itself. So you've got your buy point is just here, and there you go. There's your workshop trigger for customise, repair, sell. There's nothing marked on the ground. It's just right next to that little symbol there, which is in the air. So that's your store. Now off to the top end of the store, where is it? Top corner, we've got another one of the self-marketing. There's a little hut, cabana type thing. Is that right word? Beach hut, beach cabana. And just behind the back of it, there's another one of those crates. So there's another one of the self-marketing crates that need to be opened up there, so you can use it as a sell point if you want to. Oh, that's the point. Off there, where is it? That rock there is called it's Mushroom Rock. That's actually it's called the Mushroom of Laco Amino, I think it is. So it's one of those features that's been thrown in. It's, you know, it's there in real life, so they've just they put it in as a feature of ISCHIA. More of the self-marketing coming up. So we've got one of the cow huts, cow textured huts. I'm going to drive past. Apologies for overtaking. I know it's naughty. It's there on the right hand side, another sell point just there. And we're coming up on one of two sawmill points. One of them is just here. Now again, there's an assumption being made here. Poplars, big poplar field in front. Now that's something you don't get very often on the start of a map. You know, you can put poplars on any map you like. But we don't often get a poplar field as standard, but being right next to the sawmill here, which is another indication to me that this is the wood chip one, because we've got the wood chip bit just over here, but there doesn't seem to be a trigger or anything put in that shows you for lumber. So I'm assuming the fact that poplars you cut and you make wood chips, and it's right next to this, that's kind of the indication this is your wood chip sell point. So that's the first of your sawmills. Actually, let's have a check on the map, because we've kind of come off it since then. We've come all the way across the front to the port. We came inland a little bit and round to the sugar factory and compost, then up here past the petrol station, store. That's the one on the beach. That's the little small hut. We're now up here at the sawmill. The farm that we started at is right here, so when we come up into the town we're kind of almost on the back end of the main farm already. So we're currently here at the sawmill. We're going to come out here and pop across the biogas plant. Turn that off. I must admit, when I used to do map tours, I have a little list of things I try and tick off. So I check to make sure, you know, are contracts available? Are there any particular mods? Are there any additional crop types that have been thrown in? Any required mods? All that kind of stuff on my list. One of them always used to be water point. Where's the water point on the map? Where can I get water from? Because it was a big thing. You know, you needed water for if you're going to do livestock and that kind of thing. But like I say, now with so many placeables available and some really top quality ones, and there are some that require very little space to place as well, it's not really as important because you can just pop one down fairly cheaply, fairly easily. Biogas plant, another nice big open area, some shelter space just there. Your digestate tank is there, so your byproduct of anything you sell at the biogas plant will give you digestate. That's where you can collect it, just there. Your digester is just off here. One thing I will say, for such a big open area for the biogas plant, the bunkers are actually fairly small. I don't know whether or not, because often you get collisions, you know, with objects and stuff, whether potentially if you buy the biogas plant you could place a big one in the middle, maybe a bigger bunker silo if you wanted to go down that route. But there are 3 bunker silos. I mean, don't get me wrong, they'll take a fair amount of chaff to be compacted into silage, but you know, again, it's worth pointing out, you know, there is plenty of room, so potentially you could add more if you want to. Swinging out and round, we're going to head up to the second sawmill, which I think is the lumber point. Like I said before, the features on this, I know I seem to be pointing out the negatives, but there are a lot of positives to it. Like I say, I love the design of the map. I love the, you know, again, now we're sweeping up inland towards the kind of more volcano side. And there are some interesting features. Is the map perfect? No, it's not. There are a lot of maps that aren't. You know, and I've said it before that we've got a lot of maps which are incredibly functional, a lot of maps that have a lot of detail and a lot of processes and a lot of things that we can do. There are maps that are beautiful, I mean, like picturesque, like real life, like being there. And there are map makers out there that make those type of maps, and they are incredible. You know, right, absolutely everything looks spot on, especially the ones that are made to look like an actual place in real life. And then you've got blends of the two, which are really picturesque, really lovely, with lots of functionality. So you've got bits of everything, you know, all different types, and it's horses of courses. Sometimes the ones that look really beautiful don't have a huge amount of functionality. Sometimes they're difficult for placing mods and that kind of stuff, whereas ones that are more open, and I dare to use the word basic because that seems a bit unkind, but it is in a way, but then that gives you a bit more scope for creating your own, I think is the best way of putting that. And that's no slight on modders, map makers or anything at all. You know, everyone does their different things, and there's a place for all of it. So, because there's a trigger just there, this I would say almost definitely is the lumber sell point. So the sawmill is split between the two, wood chips down there and lumber up here. Nice big open area, plenty of room for turning vehicles around, so again, if you're daisy chaining, running road trains of lorries, there's no shortage of logging. There's plenty to do across the top end of this map. It's not too densely packed either, plenty of space for moving vehicles in and out, and lots of nice big old trees. So if you like doing a bit of logging, there is something here for you to do. So what we're going to do now is head round towards, we've got some more sell points, haven't we? I think we've got another barn which says Bales sell point. There's another, oh yes, that's where we're going. It's like a riding school. I just suddenly thought, thinking, what was it? There's another livestock market. It is, but very specifically it's for horses. That was why. Very narrow little road. I mean, this is probably more a path for walking than driving, but this will join up with where we want to go. Little rise up again off the floodplain. So, as we come around the sides here, this is a riding facility. Now it does say livestock market on the map, but when we go in here to the trigger and press L3, this is specifically for horses, so this is your horse buy point if you want to do that. You would need to place a stable because there's not actually anywhere on here for putting them in. Weirdly enough, with all the big open spaces we've got already, it's odd that the one place you want to be able to place an animal pen for horses would be up here, and there's actually not enough space to place it, I don't think, because there's other bits and bobs they're putting in. Maybe over here you might be able to fit a smaller one in. So we've got a couple of sell points. We've got the Bales sell point, which is just over there. And then this one here, I think is supposed to be more specifically for the horses. So we've come from the biogas plant here, across here. So we've got selling bales, the ranch sell point and the animal dealer. Now, weirdly, if we look at the ranch sell point, which is that one there, we scroll across, well, we've got oats there. It will take. Keep going, keep going, keep going, and it will take straw. But weirdly, that says oat, grass and dry grass, and straw. But the actual thing on the sell point screen doesn't say it will take grass or dry grass. Now that may be a seasons thing, because it says grass or dry grass. That's something you can do with seasons. Obviously you can have grass, but then if you ted it you get dry grass, so potentially that's a seasons carryover. Is the map seasons ready? That's something else that people will ask. It doesn't actually say. I believe it is. I could be wrong. I'm looking on my screen to my right on the website. It doesn't say. I know it's one of those frustrating things that people ask, and I personally think, I know they have a limited amount of space for putting the description for the map or whatever it is they're going to put down, any map maker. So I kind of get it that maybe it's not put on there, but I think that's one of those important things that people do want to know. So I can't say for definite. It's unusual now when maps come out they're not to be seasons ready. That said, some say seasons compatible, which means they're not fully season masked, but you can still kind of run them. But like I say, couldn't say for definite on this one. I do apologise. So, continuing on down this road, you'll see on the right hand side, and we need to turn here, we've got the red grape vineyard, which brings us round to the last of the sell points, which is the cellar, I believe. Again, this is one of those things you've got on the right hand side the vineyard, which I'm really excited about, being able to do grapes, that kind of thing, which I think is really, really cool. Nice neat rows, you've got your red grapes here. And then right next door to it, we've got a couple of buildings which, again, we've got slightly kind of blurry. They just seem to be kind of just plonked. There's plenty of room around them, so again, placeables if you want to make this your main farm, that kind of thing. I don't know, they're just a little bit blurry, the textures aren't quite there, so you've got that real kind of contrast between two things. You think that's really, really cool, that, you know, but again, it's a minor thing. It's aesthetic. It's, you know, these don't open. Haven't been able to get them to. And the vineyard wraps around the back just here. The sell point is round the back here. Of course, the requisite rubbish pile and skip. I'm not quite sure why we have to have them, but every map seems to have them somewhere. I think it's just kind of a... Again, it's a weird thing. I get it if you're using it as a kind of place filler. If you need something, you think, oh, it's missing a bit of detail, I need to throw something in there. Yeah, maybe, fair enough. But you've got such big open spaces with nothing in them anyway. It's a weird thing to chuck in. I don't know. Again, that's personal preference. It's just my own, you know, my own feeling on the thing. So, vineyard. So we are now from here, came down along here, along here. Now, what you will notice, last thing to point out, this vineyard here and this one down here don't have field numbers on them. These you can buy. That one for 418,000. That smaller one there for 101,000. Obviously, this one being far bigger. There aren't contracts available on these fields that I can tell. Again, if we scroll across the top till we go to our contracts, harvesting field 2, field 6, field 1. So these are just going to be a thing if you do want to do grapes. If you fancy doing that, it's building up to buying either the small one, then build up to buying the big one, and that's a continuing thing. And if we look at fruit types 1, then fruit types 2, the grapes are on that one. If you can see there, that's better. On the right hand side. So fruit types 1 goes all the way down to the bottom with alfalfa at the bottom, and then fruit types 2 has that. Then we've got our growth. So our growth, they are ready to harvest. Soil composition, this is what I was talking about. If we scroll down, it says needs ploughing. Don't plough them. It does say needs lime, which I think you could probably spread lime. That wouldn't be a problem, I don't think. If we go down that and take that off, then we get our usual map screen. They're not fertilised either. So if you want to improve the yield, again, this is an assumption. I assume they work like a normal field does. So if you fertilise them, get 2 fertilising states, you're going to get better yield off your grapes, I would imagine. If you're running weeds, that's going to be a little bit trickier. They may need spraying. And realistically, because these don't have kind of fence bits between them, you could, if you wanted to, run your harvester that way across the fields rather than following the rows this way. But again, that would be entirely your choice. And that, I think, is pretty much it. That's ISCHIA Farm by BlackEyesModding. We've been around all the sell points. We've had a look at all the various different bits and bobs around the map. Like I say, I'm excited about this. You know, like even if it's just a proof of concept that it can be on a map, it can work. We have now got a grape harvester. That's a nice step in the right direction, and I like that a lot. So hats off to you. Good job, BlackEyesModding. Well done. Sorry, I didn't mean that to sound patronising at all. Fantastic. So I hope you've enjoyed it and found it interesting and useful in some way, shape or form. If you have, give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.